Hello, and thanks for checking out yourlocalnote.com. This is the website where you can find bands and artists who live and play in the Philly area. Discover the talent that resides in this area on yourlocalnote.com. Of course, this week's featured band is Cold Roses, and we'll be speaking with them in just a minute. But we're going to play their first song, and then we're going to get to them. It's called Untitled Blues, but I want to remind you real quickly, we do have our free apps, so you just go to the respective stores for your iPhone or your Android phone and type in YLN. Download your app, and you can take us anywhere and listen to streaming 24/7 of local music, or check out the podcast or the other information we have. We're going to get to Cold Roses in just a few minutes, but we're going to play their song. It's called Untitled Blues #1. And we'll be talking with Robert Clancy. He's here from Cold Roses, and that's coming up next, right here on yourlocalnote.com. The song is called Untitled Blues #1. The band is Cold Roses. I'm RJ. Mike Stringer also hanging with us on the podcast, and joining us from Cold Roses, it's Robert Clancy. Robert, welcome to yourlocalnote.com.
Thank you for having me, RJ. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, and let's talk about Cold Roses. We'll go to the band first. Talk about your band members. I know you're here, and tell us what you do, and then run down the lineup for us and what they do.
Well, I'll be humble. I'll do myself last.
Okay.
We have Brandon Porter on the bass guitar. He's slapping the bass. He's been in the band the longest with me. We had some new additions come up over the past couple months, especially in the past year. We recently added our fantastic keyboard player, Ayala. And recently just got a awesome new drummer, RM Webb.
Okay,
RM Webb. So we don't have the two names in the same band.
And you, Robert, what do you do?
And I sing, I play guitar, I write the songs, and play some harmonica.
Very cool. All right, let's talk about Cold Roses. How did you come up with the name Cold Roses?
It kind of came up by chance. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing. A buddy of mine who got a job at a casino called me one day and said, "We have this thing coming up and we need a band. Do you want to do it?" And I said, "Sure." I hung up the phone and said, "Crap, I need to get a band together." And he asked me what was the name, and I had the Ryan Adams Cold Roses record, and I was just always fascinated with that term, and I loved that record.
Okay.
And so I was just said Cold Roses, and it just kind of stuck. Yeah.
What was the criteria that you were given about a band to play at the casino? Was he looking for a certain type of sound, and is that now what Cold Roses is? Or
he was one of my roommates in college, and he just knew I played, and I was playing in bands and stuff. So he just asked if, you know. Did
the show go okay? You got the band together?
We actually didn't end up going, but we got a band moving out of it. So, but yeah, so it was. Yeah, it was fun.
Okay, and then the band sort of has evolved from there.
Yeah, and it was just weird how it all happened. I mean, we've gone through now, I guess, 3 drummers and 2 guitar players until we finally settled, to hell with it, we're just gonna go with a keyboard player.
Okay.
And it's given actually a really, really awesome sound, a really cool take to the songs and where it's going now too. But Brandon actually came up off of Craigslist. You know, one of the few successes you get off of those, you know.
We had experience with that, and when we first started, we went on Craigslist, and we got one response out of for like a month, and then we went to Reverb Nation, and that was very successful. Those are we've gotten the overwhelming majority of the bands through Reverb Nation. They do a really good job.
Yeah.
But then now things are picking up for us, and we're getting them through Twitter. We're getting it through people just coming to our site, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you and Brandon have basically been the backbone of the band since the beginning.
Yeah, it was a good Craigslist thing. I'm glad I didn't end up a lampshade in an apartment. It worked out. You know.
All right.
But yeah, we have been, and actually the record that we just did. Since we've done it, we no longer have the same guitar player or drummer. So Brandon and I are still that kind of 50% that hold it down. He's awesome, you know. So he keeps a good foundation, kind of keeps me sane a little bit.
I was going to say, and then you, like you said, you've gone through a couple of players, and every band goes through that. Does that going through new players? Does that set you feel? Do you feel that sets you back as a band?
I mean, it doesn't. It doesn't. You know, I mean, like sometimes when people leave, it just has to be one of those things where it just has to happen. You know, you kind of reach the end of your course for whatever reason. You know, it's never this totally amicable thing.
Right.
But you know, part of that, I have enjoyed it because it's always been something fresh. It's been something new. It's a new idea. It's a new, you know, and that's one of the things that I have always loved about playing music and playing with different people and sort of keeping things different. And just me personally, I'm never one to just let things go completely straight lined. I always have to change something or mess something up.
Okay. So sometimes you need someone to bring you back.
Create some chaos somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's been really, really cool. And just especially with Robbie and Alex, Alex comes from a jazz background, and just the sort of things that he brings to the table are really, really cool.
Okay. Let's talk about the first song. We'll get back to that. Untitled Blues #1. What is that song about?
That song was actually kind of done spur of the moment. When we were down in the studio, we recorded our record down in Atlanta, Georgia, and we were in a house. We basically had a house that we could use at our leisure for an entire 5 days. We cut 10 songs in 5 days, and that song was kind of just written on the fly. The guitar player just kind of had this riff, and we just turned it into just this blues. And I'm a huge, you know, Lil Walters and Sonny Boy Williamson, you know, blues players. And so I just wanted to, you know, get some harmonica down on that. And so it was almost pretty much written and done on the spot.
Really?
Yeah, we did it in 1 or 2 takes maybe.
And you do most of the writing? I mean, do you take an idea and then expand on that like you did with this one?
Yeah, I would probably say, I mean... Sorry, guys, my band, if you're listening. I'd probably say I do about 99% of that. But I always, you know, some guys conduct bands and say, well, to hell with it, whatever. I say goes, no. I like to, if it's a good idea, it's a good idea.
Right.
And you have to elaborate that.
And
It doesn't do it any justice to let it sit.
And as you indicated before, though, you like to hear other people's ideas as you present yours and see if they can tweak and make your idea even better, the song even better.
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, a lot of times I'll just have a song completely just written front to back. I'll bring it to the band. They'll put their own thing on it. And it just, we might change a little thing, but sometimes it just kind of stays as is.
Now, bringing in the different people, who made the decision to be this Americana bluesy rock sound that you guys have?
I think it just sort of happened. I come, growing up, I listened to a lot of country, a lot of blues, a lot of Latin stuff. I mean, jazz, a lot of different stuff growing up. So I think, but I just had the band that I was in before this, which is kind of why I started Cold Roses. I just felt so creatively stifled in it, and had these ideas that I couldn't get out. A lot of it was falling into more of that, Americana, I guess if you want to call thing. But I just think, country and blues just have some incredible songs and incredible things to say, and it's just, it's beautiful, and it just, the sound kind of fell into its own place. And whether that came from me or whoever.
All right, let's go to the second song on the podcast, Let Me Go. Yeah. What can you tell us about that song?
This is actually one of my favorite songs. This one is probably, to me, one of my, I love it for personal reasons. It's just kind of a dark love song, I suppose. Sort of in the title of Please Don't Let Me Go, as the chorus goes. It was something that happened to me. It was about just a personal thing, and just had this thing of, letting go. So you can make what you will of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're sitting here with Robert Clancy from the Cold Roses. We're going to go to the next song. It's called Let Me Go. You're listening to yourlocalnote.com.
Hit the floor when I thought of you walking out that door, and the last words you said were that you were coming home, but you didn't know when. Then the light started shining above, but it didn't hit my face. Standing in the road, and my only bit of clothes was the cold steel rain. Please don't let me go. These thoughts I cannot shake, and after every other drink I still see thinking of your eyes brings me home again. Every time I try to run, I fall, 'cause I've got a heavy heart. So don't practice
That is Let Me Go. They are the Cold Roses, and you're listening to yourlocalnote.com. The songs that we're hearing in the podcast all came off the same EP.
Yeah.
When did you go and record this album in Georgia?
We did it in last March, so March of last year.
Why did you pick Georgia? How did that come about?
The drummer at the time knew these guys that they worked at a big studio down there, and they were recording with people like Usher and stuff like that.
Oh,
there was
okay.
There's a big hip hop thing obviously going down in Atlanta, and they kind of were like getting sick of hearing this stuff every day. so
they wanted to change the pace.
Yeah, and they wanted to be a bit more entrepreneurial. So they took their skill set and got some money together, and it was awesome because it was, like I said, we recorded this thing in their house. The whole studio was the basement was the studio.
Wow.
So anyway, so recording my guitar amp, we had this big the foyer in the house, and they had all these high ceilings and stuff. So took the Zeppelin approach of when the levee breaks, sort of, and so I just angled my amp up towards the ceiling, and we put mic leads all up in different rooms and all along the banisters and in the 2 rooms downstairs. So just to get this real ambient sound, because we wanted to. We were really fed up with, and me in particular, really fed up with, we did some demos, and not to knock who we worked with, but it just never came out the way we wanted to. And everybody that heard the recordings were just like, it's not like how you guys are live.
That happens.
Yeah, and
it's not the fault of anybody, but for some reason, it just doesn't come across.
Yeah, and we were playing a lot of live shows. I mean, that weekend we played the Trocadero, Mojo, and Delaware, and then we hopped in a van and went down. So we really just we couldn't afford analog, and we wanted a live sounding record, and no frills, that's what we said, no plugins. We just mic'd the amps, and we just did it, just as live as we could. We tried recording it all together, but we couldn't hear each other. So the bass and since my guitar was upstairs and the drums were downstairs, the drums and the guitar were recorded simultaneously. So that was live, and then everything was on top. We didn't use metronomes or any that kind of stuff. So it was kind of minimal production.
So you put the album together, as you say. You recorded 10 songs in 5 days. That's working a lot. Yeah. Now, were you getting input from the guys who were recording, or was this just you and Brandon mainly calling the shots and producing this?
No, I mean it was everybody. Because I mean that time at the time, it was a different band, so everybody was had their way that they wanted to take their approach to things, and and it was like working around the clock. We'd be tracking vocals or something sometimes at like 3 a.m. I think during that whole thing I went through like 2 bottles of Basil Hayden's and a bunch of tea and honey and a lot of stuff to just keep going.
Yeah, sure.
And the guys that were recording the studio were just there they're all just hanging out.
Yeah, I mean they weren't like flies on the wall. They definitely were involved, and they did some really cool stuff. I mean, in terms of the engineering aspect and the miking and stuff, and yeah, it wasn't totally like all right boys, they definitely spoke up when they needed to, but they weren't intrusive.
Right.
It was a very laid back setting. It was really just an awesome time. Yeah.
Good. Now, how much of your live performance in playing these songs helped evolve the songs themselves and the recorded final versions? Did you end up maybe liking one song over another just because of the way the crowd feedback was, and did you maybe have to go back and rethink parts of certain songs because you didn't get the feedback on those songs?
We did change some things around. We did mess with a few tempos. In terms of the song structure, we didn't really do all too much then when we kind of conceived it in the rehearsal room. But there were a few things that were very spontaneous, like the intro to Let Me Go that I just did that backwards echo in the beginning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We were just sitting at 3 a.m. at the control board, and it just started as a joke because we just started playing things backwards. And I was like falling asleep and just kind of stood up, and the other guy too was like, "Oh, let's do that. Let's do that with something." So I just went and I just like strummed the chords and we just played them back.
Okay.
And that was how that intro got there. So there were little things like that kind of happened. And like in Untitled Blues, there were 3 songs we did where I have that like distorted vocal thing, and all that came out of was there was actually a sauna downstairs, and that's where the guitarist put his amp. So when he was done, I just plugged in my bullet mic and I just sang out of it.
So you were spread out throughout the house.
Oh yeah.
That's very cool.
I'm just trying to put the visual together. Everyone's all over the place.
Yeah.
Obviously, you learned a lot from that experience. You are thinking you've got your EP set, but you've got plenty more songs for a full album that you're going to record with the new band.
Right.
Going back to Atlanta, or you got another place you're going to go to? I mean, how is that going to... because obviously that house was unique. So could that possibly change are you going to add these 4 songs onto the full album, or are you going to have them separate?
Well, I mean, it's... we're probably going to release as an EP, and then so we can go back and do some newer stuff, because there were 4 songs that we had. One of them, I think 2 of them, I think we're going to re-record.
Okay.
Just because they didn't come out quite right. So actually we recorded it down at, it's called, here's a plug, kids, EST Audio down in Georgia. and then we doing the mixing and all that kind of stuff, back and forth file sharing, was just going to be too much for me to handle, and I wanted to be in a studio and mess with the knobs and the mixing. So we took it to Cambridge Sound Studios in Newtown, Pennsylvania.
Yes, we're familiar with them.
Yeah, and Jim is awesome.
He's a good guy.
So accommodating.
Yeah.
And he made that. He helped make it what it is. I mean, he really put his time into it and was great to work with. So I like our options up here. And our drummer is actually very, very into the studio thing as well.
Okay. All right. So there'll be a different take on some of these songs then.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And I think the songs, just the dynamic has changed, I think, all for the better. It's been noticing in, more live shows and stuff.
Excellent. Let's go to song number 3, which is called Lose That Man. Tell us a little bit about that.
Lose That Man was a thing where just the guitarist had the riff, and he had this sort of idea that and every time if somebody gives me a song, I just ask them, what made you want to write this?
Oh, and then you take it from there.
And then I try to put myself in that mindset, if it's fragmented lyrics or something like that. So, and I completely related to where he was coming from, and I went back to that spot in my head. It's basically just about a girlfriend that leaves you for a complete douchebag. And
I think I've been on both sides.
Yeah. So it's sort of that, F you to that guy.
Okay.
And to her, I suppose.
Okay. So we have a sentimental love song here. Yeah. I'm kidding. The song is called Lose That Man. We're hanging with Robert Clancy of Cold Roses. This is yourlocalnote.com.
All right, let's roll.
That's Lose That Man from Cold Roses. I'm RJ, hanging with Mike, and of course we've got Robert Clancy from Cold Roses also hanging with us tonight. Now, before Lose That Man, you were talking about how this song was created, and basically you took the idea and then elaborated on that. How often do you do something like that? And are the results always where the person who came up with the first little bit of idea, does it go where they thought it would go?
I mean, I guess that can all depend. You know, I mean, getting an inspiration from something can happen from almost anything. You know, I mean, some of the songs I have, you know, are more sort of autobiographical, you know, and just different things inspire it. But, and that was just a particular instance, you know, and like I said, with that kind of song is I try to, sort of get into that mindset and try to understand if there's an idea coming from somewhere else, you know, try to understand it and contextualize it to my, you know.
Do you with your songs, do you have to have experienced what you're writing about in order for you to feel like you can make the song complete, or can you take just an idea and tell a story with that? Yeah,
I mean, I always put some honest quality on it, because I think that's what makes a good song. I think that's what makes a song that people relate to and can, you know, feel something from. And that's, you know, the whole reason why I wanted to start writing songs and singing them. And so it can come from, you know, a whole bunch of different places. And if I do get an idea from somebody, I try to, you know, make it sort of a collaborative thing in my ideas, but also keep that, you know, sort of thing.
Between writing the music and writing the lyrics, is one easier for you to do than the other?
It's kind of circumstantial, you know, like if the music, you know, sometimes the lyrics come first, sometimes the music can come first, and the music might just, you know, give way to something inspiring.
All in itself.
Yeah. Like the next one I think you guys are going to play, which is Ordinary Friend. The idea and sort of the lyrics came before the music, but certain other songs like Let Me Go, the music came before the lyrics, and it just evoked, you know, something,
right?
And you know, it just went down and came together.
Yeah. What are some of the websites that people listening to this podcast to find out more about you can go to?
Yeah, please do, kids. We would love it. If you can find us on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Cold Roses. If you go to The Cold Roses, I think you're going to get some band in Germany. Okay. That's what people have been telling us.
All right.
Go figure. We're also on Reverb Nation, reverbnation.com/Cold Roses. We have links to our Bandcamp and video and YouTube and all that stuff. And of course, our shows, we always keep that updated. So all the information you can find on our Facebook or Reverb Nation.
And we'll be keeping people update with your appearances too. We do that too. So, and then, so basically all the websites you've got covered. Do you have your own website?
Not yet.
Okay. Still working on that.
Yeah, we're getting there.
It's fun.
It is very fun.
It's a lot of work. I mean, Mike does a lot of work with our website and you know, the Twitter and the Facebook and stuff like that. It's time consuming. It's almost like, you know, another job.
That fangled internet machine.
Very cool. All right, and then upcoming shows.
We have one on the 16th at JR's Bar. That's down in South Philly. It's a nice little dive for everyone that wants to get their shoes rocked. So we have that, and then we'll be venturing, I believe, up to New York after that.
Nice. For someone who hasn't seen you guys play, just give a quick, you know, description of what they can expect when they come up to see you guys.
You will see a genuine rock and roll show. I mean, we never go on stage. We hardly ever go on stage with a set list, because we like to keep everything pretty spontaneous. You know, I'll put a microphone somewhere else on the stage to run to it. You know, we like to keep it kind of free form, because if it's not interesting, you know, for us, then how can it be interesting for everybody watching?
You ever expand on the studio versions of the songs, like improv at all?
A little bit, yeah. Sometimes we'll take a little bit more, and you know, especially with the new band lineup, you know, things have been changing. You know, so it's been really cool. Yeah, you definitely won't be disappointed.
So after one song finishes, that's when you get the inspiration. Okay, we'll do this song and over another.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll, and it's because we love to interact with the crowd,
Sure.
and and try to keep it sprightly.
Okay, very cool. Let's go to the last song, "Ordinary Friend." Tell us a little bit about this, Robert.
Yeah, this one, like I was saying, the lyrics kind of came before it. I used to live out in Bucks County in like the Morrisville, Yardley area, and I would just go out sometimes and just kind of drive. And there was this, for some strange reason, I was seeing multiple cars on the side of 95 that were caught on fire. And it was like kind of in succession. I'm just like,
Right.
Okay, weird.
Yeah.
And so that, and it was driving at night, and it was this creepy, like, horror movie, werewolf kind of moon out, that kind of thing. And it just, this story just started coming into my head, just basically about a girl. And I suppose this is from, some autobiographical in a way, from people I know, but, just basically about a girl who, she had a bad upbringing and, started turning to drugs and thought it'd be better if she just faked her own death and started a whole new life somewhere.
Wow.
So so I kind of, with this song, I kind of Tarantino'd it. Yeah. I kind of put the ending in the beginning and then worked it,
Okay.
So
very cool.
So yeah.
All right, very nice.
All right, well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you guys so much.
Good.
Thank you.
No problem. This has been a featured podcast with the Cold Roses. We were sitting down with Robert Clancy. And you can leave your comments below on what you think of the podcast, what you think of the site. You can also reach us via email at contact@yourlocalnote.com. We have a text number, too, where you can send us your comments, questions, requests, anything like that. 612-502-6614. That's 612-502-6614. We've been sitting with Robert Clancy of the Cold Roses, and we'll end with their song, "Ordinary Friend." You've been listening to yourlocalnote.com.
There's a burning car on the side of the road. Smoke rings rising in the cold, dark night. With a stolen love that couldn't fade away. Lost, you tried to run, could not hide. Yeah! Cruising 67 down to 413. And it's just on forever, there's no turning back. See the dust cloud rising up through the red view. Now turn around, face your path. Yeah. And if you don't come around here again, then I won't be your ordinary friend. I wonder if you'll make it out there on your 3 days gone and 2 more to go. The car was found, not the red.